On this episode of Lapeef, Let's Talk.
So, what did you have? A divorce down there?
In the cab, yeah.
How long were you married?
10 years.
I've been there. I was married for 10 years too. It can get rough, but yes, guys, it's nobody's fault really that no one really understands this stuff, because I mean, if you're an attorney, how could you? If you're not an attorney, how could you understand it? And you could absolutely be in divorce court and you don't even see what's going on. You just see your particular case, and maybe you know how your friend's case turned out. Maybe you know how the guy at the gym's case turned out, or your girlfriend's case, but you haven't seen case after case, month after month, year after year for 2 decades. You know, when you get to my level, you just start to see whole patterns, and you're like, oh my God, this whole system is terrible.
I think Chicago really got a question.
Lead, I got a question for you. So, and I've heard you talk about this on your channel, and this came up earlier. What percentage of men actually fight for custody of their children? And how much do they typically spend with you when they fight in those cases? I heard you talk about that before too.
Man, you're asking a real question. And this question is multi-layered. And let me just give you the answer. Not a lot of men fight for custody of their children. So maybe, I don't know if you saw Kay's face, right? Right?
Yeah, that's what she was saying they didn't.
Now, the reason Kay's face is funny to me is because it's clear she doesn't understand why. Right? She doesn't understand why.
Help me understand, Mr. Lead Attorney.
That's why I'm here, Kay. That's why I'm here. You. Let's say you live in a place like Atlanta, right? If you live in a place like Atlanta and you come in and you say, okay, Chicago Rilla comes in and he says he wants to fight for his kids. And I look back at how all these judges are and how they've always been for the last 20 years. I mean, his wife needs to be, you know, on meth. She needs to be in prison. She needs to have touched those kids in a sexual nature. I mean, she needs to be such a terrible mom. You know, it's not even enough that she was a terrible wife. She could have been cheating on Chicago with 5 other dudes. A judge is going to say, listen, her being a wife and her being a mother are 2 different things. And even though she's in these streets, even though she's doing all this stuff with all these other men, doesn't mean that she's not a good mom. The judge is going to try to save her and is going to want to put those kids with her. So I have to tell him this. And divorce attorneys really have to give this speech probably at least once a day to somebody to say, listen, if you want to fight for your kid, it's going to be an uphill battle and you're probably going to lose. Now, a lot of men will get the hint and they'll say, okay, fine, just give me as much visitation as I can. And then the wife will realize that we're not fighting for visitation anymore. And the wife will make the face that Kay made, like, oh, see, you don't even really care about your kid anyway. When really it was your attorney. Really, it was your attorney who told you not to. Now, unlike Chicago Rilla, there are some men who are hard-headed. And they will say, well, listen, I want to fight for my kid anyway. And I say, okay, you know, give me $7,500 to start, and I'll bill you out at $400, $450 an hour, and we'll go from there. What they're going to find is once they get up to $15,000, $30,000, they're going to come to me and they're like, lead attorney, I don't have any more money, right? And I was like, well, I told you this was going to be extremely expensive. And they're going to say, yeah, well, listen, I can't pay you anymore. Can you keep working for free? I cannot work for free. Well, then I guess we're going to need to settle on, just try to get me as much visitation as you can get. Well, fair enough, but I feel bad because Chicago, you know, this is what I told you 6 months ago, right? Some guys get the hint early. Some guys get it late. Some guys will raid their 401k and put my fees on their credit card. And now they're looking at 50 grand, 75 grand. We'll fight for 2 years. You'll pay me 75 grand. You'll pay a guardian ad litem 30 grand. You'll pay a psychiatrist 20 grand. And guess what? You lose. When you lose, and you know, now you're 150,000 in the hole. And then on top of that, you have to pay child support every month. Oh, no. Yes, the rage you feel as a man. And why did you lose? Because you're a man, right? But when you say Chicago Rilla, you know, or Kay, whichever one, I think of Chicago Rilla. When you ask me, do men fight for custody, and then you see the face that Kay makes, you're asking a really sophisticated question that not a lot of people understand the answer to. I mean, it's a very deep answer. You have attorneys in this state. It's all, in fact, attorneys that'll say, yeah, let's fight for custody. Those are really the bad ones because they know what's going to happen in the end. Now, are there cases where men can fight for custody and win? Yes, probably about 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10. And I will tell you that some men come into the office already up on game. They don't even ask me for custody. They already know it might be their second divorce, or they might have went through some type of custody issue with the baby mama. So they say, lead attorney, just give me as much visitation as you can give me. Now, to Kay, that might look like a man that's not fighting for his kid. But to me, it can absolutely be it's a man that's already up on game. A man that already knows that he doesn't want to spend $15,000 and then come into his attorney's office and say, I'm out of money. How much can you get me? Or how much visitation? Or a man who doesn't want to raid his 401k and spend $75,000 and lose and then have to turn around and pay child support beginning that next month. Right? Yeah. So there are all these injustices against men that the regular people don't see. You know, when Kay made that face, it was almost insulting. But it's not her fault. She just doesn't know the landscape.
I don't.
Right. And so that's why I'm not blaming you. I'm not blaming you at all. You know, if someone's a mechanic and they're like, oh, well, what's the carburetor do? It's not my fault. I'm ignorant, right?
I'm so glad I'm you're here.
Yeah, no, I'm here. I'm
because
here.
You know, you're an expert in the field, which is very important.
Yeah, I only know one thing, guys. I've been doing this 20 years.
She's throwing shots.
No, I'm not. He is
Courtney, is this your homie?
Is this your homie, Courtney? I love that.
Hey, go ahead, Kay. You had a question for him.
Hey, wait a minute, JR, real quick. Lead. I wasn't in 3C, but I was in DeKalb County for mine.
Ooh, that's the worst one because it's just a bunch of us down there, to be honest. I'd rather be in Fulton County. DeKalb
I know.
Is the worst. Are you in Atlanta now?
No. I've been back in Chicago for about five years now.
That's what's
up. I was in Atlanta for 20 years though.
20 years, man. DeKalb County is the worst. It is the worst county down here. They don't have their stuff together at all. So what did you have, a divorce down there?
In DeKalb, yeah.
How long were you married?
10 years.
I've been there. I was married for 10 years too. It can get rough, but yes, guys, it's nobody's fault really that no one really understands this stuff because, I mean, if you're an attorney, how could you? If you're not an attorney, how could you understand it? And you could absolutely be in divorce court and you don't even see what's going on. You just see your particular case, and maybe you know how your friend's case turned out. Maybe you know how the guy at the gym's case turned out, or your girlfriend's case. But you haven't seen case after case, month after month, year after year for 2 decades. You know, when you get to my level, you just start to see whole patterns, and you're like, oh my God, this whole system is terrible.